Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a short little video covering the Dunu DK3001 BD, short for Brain Dance. You guys can see the branding, Brain Dance, on the box. But this is a tri-brid IEM that has 4 balanced armatures, 4 microplanners on each side, as well as 1 dynamic driver. So 9 drivers in total on each side. And it does have this beautiful white aluminum alloy chassis that does feel rather heavy duty, and one that to me was actually quite comfortable once I found the right ear tip for long durations of time. No issues whatsoever. You guys can see that beautiful aesthetic there on this particular IEM with a kind of sci-fi or gamer-esque aesthetic to it. So again, a heavy-duty IEM, not one that I found to be overly large. It's about 8 grams on each side, so a little heavier than some sets that you guys might be used to, but overall I had, again, zero issue for long duration of time with the Brain Dance. In terms of its quality feel, it definitely gets high marks, and in terms of comfort, I personally would give it high marks as well. Now, the Dunu Brain Dance, it does come with a really cool looking cable. After the Y split, you guys can see it does have a little bit of a white braid here leading to an MMCX, which the Brain Dance utilizes. It's not a 2-pin, so keep that in mind, but the cable here is just absolutely awesome. Then kind of this cloth fabric here leading into the termination, which you guys will see in the box. It does have a interchangeable termination. Right now I've got a 3.5 on in the box. There is a 4.4, but just a really awesome cable and a really good unboxing experience here. One that a lot of you might be used to from Dunu now, usually always packing a really, really nice carrying case. The Brain Dance, no exception. Here's the other termination. You get a 6.35 in there as well, a clip for the cable, as well as a cleaning brush. You get another little enclosure that you can put your IEMs in if you want to protect them and put them in a bag or on the go. And then you also will see here on my left, you've got a microfiber cleaning cloth, and you also have 2 boxes of ear tips here that it's kind of a similar shape and look to the Dunu SNS tips. I don't find that these ones with this have the same feel to them. They're a little bit more pliable. And then you also get this white silicone tip as well that's a little bit more domey in appearance. And then the other case has a set of silicone tips here on the right with the red middle piece. And you do get a set of the Dunu candy tips, which I actually love. I thought the Dunu candy tips worked pretty well for me on this, but going to the Asla Senate ear fits that I have on there right now, picked up a little additional length and a little bit more filling in my ear, so they just positioned a little bit better for me, and the sub bass came out a little bit more. Now let's talk about the overall sound in-game with the DK3001 BD. This is a very good set for competitive gaming. On my list, it's going to get a B+, and I'll get into why. But this is a set, I'll show you guys the frequency graph. You can see how they compare to the control unit for the testing of this one, which was the Arete. The sub bass is boosted on this set, and the mid bass kind of falls off. Now, where that kind of impacts things in game is there are certain audio cues, particularly in Valorant, where some footsteps are a little brighter. Some footsteps on certain material are thockier in the sub bass region, and some footsteps kind of fall into an in-between or the mid-bass region. With that mid-bass fall-off, I just feel like there are instances where certain audio cues, not only in Valorant, but in Apex as well, kind of fall off a little bit. They don't crush through the mix to the great extent that other sets do. Even this lack of extension in the 1 to 3K region, where it picks it up a little bit later on. And trust me, the treble region on this set is absolutely fantastic. Fast driving, great sense of air, spaciousness, very resolving. Just a absolutely marvelous set in terms of the overall listening experience. But it falls off a little bit in that 1 to 3K range. And in Apex, I feel like the light slides, the areas of people shield selling, it just becomes a scenario where sometimes I would pick up very faintly people popping shield cells, but then it becomes an issue because it's not punching through the mix of just not getting this great sense of depth perception. I can hear it in the general area of where it popped, but not this pinpoint precise yardage read that some sets can give. Now, the Dunu Braindance picks up a lot of the slack in the regions of separation, of layering, overall imaging, all being quite good. But there's just those little scenarios where you lose out on things to the extent that you would get them on a few of the other things that are higher for certain games on the wallhack certified tier list. So again, in Apex, the things that I noticed, depth perception with gunfire exceptionally good because those things are a little bit on the brighter end and they shine through the mix to a great extent. So gunfire at a distance, no issues with verticality, knowing exactly where it's coming from and about how far precisely the gunfire is coming from. Now, when I'm in a fight, sometimes the light slides, the light taps in a building of or some of the things that you might hear clinking on some characters, the way their bodies interact with certain things in game, certain abilities. There are just a few things where you don't hear them quite as much. And again, you lose out on this sense of depth perception for some of those things. Again, overall imaging in terms of verticality, things at a distance for most audio cues, all working very well on the Braindance, and separation and layering for third parties, fourth parties being very good, even in that sub-bass region with that sub-bass boost. The sub-bass is just really resolving. It is something that you feel this air between the sub-bass notes in the region with things going on, especially even in music. There's this reverb to the sub-bass, but it never was something like that the reverb was causing this additional occlusion. So it's a natural sounding set, but one that's very fun with this added sub-bass boost. In Valorant, again, I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between Apex and Valorant, but in Valorant, again, like there are some maps where you never even run into this issue of getting the other types of footstep audio cues. But there are a lot of maps where sometimes you'll get like the thockier steps or some of the lighter steps. And by thockier, I mean more of like in the mid-bass region, not the ultra thocky steps. And in those instances, like the horizontal imaging with depth and where exactly those audio cues were coming in front of me, if I'm about to peek out, like just the depth read just felt off every once in a while. Again, overall imaging, separation, layering, all great. So the set maintains a high score for Valorant at a B+, maintains a high score for Apex at a B+. Now, these IEMs for Counter-Strike 2 work exceptionally well. And in CS2, when you transition, you'll notice the footsteps in CS2 99% of the time are like walking on these pebbles. It's like a lighter step that has more of the upper region, and those things shine through the mix no problem. Because the separation and layering are so good on this set, particularly in the treble region, the gunfire in CS2 never felt overwhelming. Depth perception read for gunfire, no issue whatsoever. And one of the better sets for CS2 because of the way the gunfire is filtering through in terms of separation and layering. Like gunfire in CS2 can be a little bit abrasive sometimes, and having a set with great separation and layering in the treble region and a very nice treble response that feels spacious and well extended, clean, smooth, fast drive, and air in between notes, good micro detail and resolution in that range does make a difference. So great performer for CS2 that I could easily put around a A- to a B+. I just had absolutely no issue in CS2 at all with the Braindance. Moving to Warzone, it's a little bit hard now because I don't know whether to do my testing in old Warzone or the new Resurgence map. Taking these into the new Resurgence map, there are just so many people who are complaining about audio, and I get it in the new Resurgence map. It certainly doesn't sound good on a lot of sets, but I actually found that this kind of neutral tuning with sub-bass boost worked very well with that separation, with that layering for the new Resurgence. Going to headphone bass boost, bringing up that sub bass even more, sounded great. Things just cutting through the mix in that sub region, because a lot of those things are just really thawky on that deep low end, pulling through really nicely on the brain dance. And gunfire, again, never flooding me, never occluding anything. There definitely are times, because the audio is just, again, not that good, where you're like, wow, that could be definitely better. But like comparing them to some of the top things in my rotation, these were some of the best that I've tried so far for the new Resurgence map. So the brain dance is something that will be placed at a B+, and there will be a little notation that it is kind of bordering the A- range. I think if you were to take the time to EQ these, you could easily get these even to an A. And I do think that with other titles coming out, we might even see these go up to an A-, or if this new Resurgence really does become the full standard with the way the audio is right now, I might have to, with it being good for CS, good for COD, and just losing marks in Valorant in some areas, picking up great marks in other areas, and the same thing for Apex. Maybe I will transition them at some point to an A- on the list. But right now, B+, notation, borders A-. Dunu did a great job. They sound good for competitive gaming. They sound great when you get in game, and they sound even better for music. So check out some alternative reviews as well that focus primarily on music, because this really is a great set in that regard. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. See you guys in the next review. Peace.